Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman. It is Saturday night, and that means that if you're hearing my voice, it is a breaking podcast. And as always, joined by Brian Davis. What's up, Brian? How's it going?
All right, I'm doing great. I was thrilled to get your phone call. They say Saturday night is all right for fighting. That's out in John, but
Yeah,
Saturday night is all right for breaking news, and we've got it.
we do. And so this is all about the ongoing rumors. These rumors have been ongoing for almost, I would say, well over a month, if not longer, probably dating well back to before the owners' meetings in Florida. And these has to do with San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. So got a phone call from our source inside, very close to the inside and inside the facility, saying the Steelers have explored adding Aiyuk. Now, make sure you hear that clearly. They have explored that as an option. There's nothing imminent, but don't be shocked if this deal happens. So here's what we know right now, that Brandon Aiyuk, we've all seen the reports on social media that he unfollowed the 49ers. He's made it very clear that he doesn't really believe in what the 49ers are saying, that he's not really happy in San Francisco anymore. He's entering the final year of his contract. So the 49ers now, because this has kind of drug on for a while, they're in a rather bad spot. So one thing that they have to figure out is, well, what are they going to get for him? So as the price tag potentially comes down, the Steelers could then get a good deal for a player that they would like. Now, before I go into any more details about this, Brian, what's your reaction to that news?
I love hearing news like this, and the reason why is simply this. You know that it's not something that people are speculating on. They're actually dipping their toe in the water, and they're figuring out how, when, and why, and how they can go ahead and jump in. And that's it. So they're very smart. And I've noticed this. We saw this with the whole Justin Fields thing, because we can go back to maybe 6 weeks ago when we came on the air here in a breaking news podcast, and we tried to put the Justin Fields thing to bed. It was done. It was put to bed. The Kenny Pickett thing changed everything, and they were
Right.
back in. So here's a situation where they are involved, and this is actually more true than what anybody thought. I know there was like a false Adam Schefter report the other day that the trade
Yes.
was already made, but they're watching it. And with Justin Fields, they watched the price get lower and lower and lower. And that's probably what's going to happen here. They're going to be more attractive to a guy like Brandon Aiyuk and a team like the San Francisco 49ers because, one, they're not in the division. Two, they don't play each other for another 3 years or so. And I know that maybe some teams don't look at that, but I think some teams actually do.
Yeah.
And another thing is just the fact that you've got Mike Tomlin here, and Aiyuk has already put out a thing. Hey, coach, we look like each other. And now you look at the fact that he's taking the San Francisco off of his social media. He's done. This is a divorce. This is they're getting ready to decide who gets visitation of the kids.
Now, before the Steelers were to ever make a trade, the one thing that they don't want is and they're not interested in another Antonio Brown situation. In other words, they don't want another disgruntled employee who could potentially put himself over top of the organization, the team. And that contract situation is going to be really important as it pertains to, you can trade for Brandon Aiyuk, but then you have to figure out the contract thing because it's the last year of his contract. There are no concerns on the Steelers' part in terms of, okay, Brandon Aiyuk, is he trouble? No, there's no concerns there. He's never had a problem in San Francisco. He's been a great teammate. He's been a great player. He would fit well into the Steelers scheme opposite of George Pickens, and it would make the Steelers really, really versatile on the offensive side of the football. But let's make something else very clear. There's a lot of people out there that are making it look like the Steelers are desperate for a wide receiver, that they are going to try and do whatever they can to get one. That's not true. They've done their diligence, both throughout free agency as they prepare for the NFL draft. They are open to adding a receiver through the draft and or a trade. And this is just one of those ventures that the avenues, we should say, that they're going to go down. And again, there's nothing imminent as I sit here right now. But could a deal happen? Don't be shocked if it does. Brian, how do you think the Ayuk trade, if it were to come to fruition, would impact the offense?
Well, George Pickens would no longer be on an island
True.
because he's going to be that number 1 guy, and you're going to key on him, and there are not a clear number 2. You had Hines Ward and Plexico Burris. You had Hines Ward and Santonio Holmes. You had Hines Ward and Antoine Randall L. You had guys like that that could work together well. You don't have that second guy. Now, they have no problem bringing in a rookie, and they have no problem bringing in guys like Van Jefferson, Cordero Patterson, even though he's listed as a running back, could go ahead, go out wide. You also brought in Quez Watkins. So, and think about the other 2 guys that they have lying around too, just from last year that you're not even thinking about. That's Denzel Mims is one of them, and the Marquez Callaway, who had a pretty good go a couple years ago with the Saints. And they're big guys. They're over 6 foot. So this would be really interesting to bring in a guy like Ayuk. I think it would make them an offensive power as far as everything goes because they have the running game. How would it fit in the system? It would be interesting. Now, you've got a guy that had over 1,300 yards last year. He had 7 touchdowns, but remember, 3 of them were against the Steelers in week 1.
Yeah.
So, but you still have a guy that could work with other big, good receivers. Like he's worked with Debo, he's worked with Kittle as a great tight end. I kind of like the dynamic of this, and I think any player that has an opportunity to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers with a Mike Tomlin and with a guy in the front office like Omar Khan, well, they know how to treat people, and that's why they're making Pittsburgh a destination pretty soon.
Well, and the funny thing is that there's a lot of people that would say because the Steelers would be smart if they do complete this trade is to figure out a contract situation right away. Get him a new contract. Extend him, give him an extension. And a lot of folks might say, well, the Steelers don't have a lot of cap space. They don't. They're average. Right now they're around 11 million. But let's not forget something we reported way back a couple months ago is that expect a Cam Hayward extension. And then when Cam Hayward gets his extension, they can add some void years to it. They can move money around. Now, all of a sudden, his cap hit in 2024 goes down significantly, and you have more money to move around, something that Omar Khan is an absolute wizard with. And that's why, Brian, you say it all the time. You don't have to go ask the numbers guy because he is the numbers guy. I'm not concerned about them being able to find a way to make Brandon Aiyuk happy as it pertains to contractually if he were to be traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But again, let me reiterate what we're hearing right now from our source inside the facility. The Steelers are exploring this trade. They've explored the trade. They continue to have some conversations about it. There's nothing imminent, but don't be shocked if it happens. The 49ers situation is getting worse. The Steelers could take advantage with that situation worsening. There are some concerns about the contract and the attitude, and they want to make sure they're getting a guy that wants to be in Pittsburgh. But let's also not suggest that the Steelers have been completely negligent to the wide receiver position. They've done their diligence. They've been open to adding a wide receiver in a multitude of ways that includes trade and a draft pick. So this is exciting stuff for the Steelers fan base as well. We're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. So Brian, what are your final thoughts?
This is not a desperate Pittsburgh Steelers team for a wide receiver. They've got plans. They just have to fall into place. And sometimes you've got to have different benchmarks on the calendar when you decide to make those moves. You can't make them too early. And this is a team, Omar Khan. I always say, and I want the t-shirt, Jeff. I want you to make this t-shirt. Nobody finds coins in the couch cushions like Khan. Now, I say that all the time. I've been saying that for a long time. But not only that, no one lies in wait better than Omar Khan, too. And he just lies there waiting for other teams to bow out, and he swoops in. He's a swooper. He's a lurker and a swooper, and that's a good thing when you're a front office guy in the National Football League.
Yeah. So what would it take? We don't know. Well, we don't know at this juncture what it would take to get a trade done with Brandon Aiyuk. Again, this could happen in the next 48 hours. This could happen in 2 months. We don't know. Nonetheless, you need to stay tuned to Steel Curtain Network. all of our podcasts are phenomenal, but make sure you stay glued in so that you get these breaking news podcasts when they happen. Also, make sure you check out steelcurtainnetwork.com for sure, as we give you all the written word as well for the Pittsburgh Steelers and what's been an absolute crazy offseason. It's going to continue to be crazy, I'm sure, and we'll have you covered every step of the way. But Brian, thank you so much for your time, folks. Stay tuned. It's only going to get better. We'll see you next time on another breaking news podcast.